listeners. Welcome to Plano's Political Pitbull Podcast. I am Esther.
And I'm Ruth.
And today we are going to talk about some national news. So, the Longshoreman unions are threatening to strike if a deal is not reached by the end of Monday, September 30th, 2024, so tomorrow for us here at the studio. 85,000 members will go to the picket line Tuesday if a deal is not met. Oh, by the way, that is also the same day as the vice presidential debate. So that will be quite interesting.
Ooh.
So, Ruth, do you know what a longshoreman does?
Not really.
Okay, well, for Ruth and all those who do not know what a longshoreman does, these are dock and maritime workers, and they basically run our ports.
I know it has something to do with shore.
Mm-hmm. They run the seaports and unload all of the goods that are on the ships. So basically, without them, all the ports can't run. All the goods will not be offloaded. And this would be an absolute disaster for the economy. Supply will be hugely disruptive. You thought COVID was bad?
Disrupted.
Yeah. You thought COVID was bad? Woo, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Why are they striking?
Okay, so that is a good question. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot to tell you where they are striking. So it's not the whole United States, but it's quite a big portion. It will be from Boston all the way to Texas.
Okay, why are they striking?
Well, the usual suspect is money, and that is it this time, money. But there's also another thing. So the workers want an 80% raise over 6 years, but they also want a ban on automation, specifically robotics. So they're concerned that robots are basically going to take their jobs. Because obviously they have some automation. They have cranes and all kinds of things to help unload those huge, big
Crates
and boxes and tin crates and everything. So here's another problem. Inflation will go up if this happens. Because obviously you're going to have too much money following wee amount of goods. Okay? And it will cost us $4.5 billion a day. Because all those items will not be coming off the ship. The ships won't be able to dock if this strike happens. Now, I can understand the robotics thing. I mean, to some extent. I mean, obviously, unions are very protective of their workers, and they don't want to lose their jobs, obviously. But they are going to need, if the robots do come about, they're supposed to be there to assist the workers, not take their jobs away.
When there's a will, there's a way.
Well, there's a famous line, I'm sure the buggy industry, the horse and carriage industry and the buggy whips, they had a lot of people go out of business when the car came into effect. We don't want to stop progress, but I can sympathize with the workers here that they want to protect their jobs. I just really think they can come to a better agreement than going on strike and basically stopping the economy.
Well, that's why they're doing it, because they're like, they have to agree to our demands because we're essential to the entire economy.
They are. I mean,
They're using that as a leverage.
Big leverage. Big leverage. I mean, let's face facts here. The U.S. imports more than it exports, okay? That was something that President Trump complained about incessantly. He wanted us to be exporting more goods. We import more goods than we actually make ourselves.
Well, now it's about to bite us in the rear.
Mm-hmm. So, some items that will be affected if the strike happens. So, on imports, cars, auto parts, holiday items. So, your Christmas shopping and Hanukkah shopping may be affected. Steel, precision instruments. So, we're talking medical, and usually that means medical instruments. Machinery, certain foods like bananas and other fruits that we import from South America or from all over the world.
Mostly South America.
Yeah. Pharmaceutical products. I mean, a lot of our drugs ingredients come from overseas. Okay? So we could have drug shortages. Clothing, furniture, and plywood, just to name a few items. But you're pretty much, I mean, look around your home. If something is not made in America, let me change that. It probably will be hard for somebody to find something that is made in America in their house today. It's there, but I guarantee you that the stuff that is not made in America probably outnumbers the stuff that was made in America. So, some exports that will be affected, because we do export some things. It's mostly food. Beef, pork, eggs, chicken, and other things that we may export, but we don't really make a lot. So it's going to really harm our imports. Now, it is going to harm the farmers who send a lot of their exports, their goods overseas. That's going to be a huge problem because they're not going to be able to get those things to overseas markets.
Yeah, but the impact of the imports is going to impact everybody.
Yes, it is. It's going to impact small businesses, large businesses, medium businesses. I mean, this is so big, it's hard to wrap your head around. I mean, I want you to think about a product that is in your house. Let's just take your iPhone or your Android phone, okay? Majority of that phone was made overseas with overseas parts, all right? So the whole phone was probably put together in China, and then it was shipped. So if you need a new phone, gonna be hard to replace it.
You're gonna have to wait.
Yeah. Now let's take something that maybe has foreign parts but is assembled here, like a car. A lot of the chips that are in the cars now, all of them are made overseas. Okay? So there you have what we can make. We can build you the car, but it's not going to run without the chips that are in it, and there may be some car parts in there too.
Well, it's our own fault for relying so heavily on imports. I mean, like you said, if you just go around your house, you're gonna find a lot more things that are not made here than anything that was. I mean, I think I was going around the kitchen and I found one thing that was made in the US, and I was like, oh, look, I found something that's not made in China. It's amazing.
I know people who try and buy products that are made in the US. It's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, think about Christmas. Christmas is coming up. Hanukkah is coming up. People are going to want to go buy toys for their kids. There's going to be a lot of empty shelves. I don't know.
Because practically everything's made in China.
Yeah. A lot of the toys are made in China.
A lot of our clothes are made in China.
You know, Vietnam too,
or Vietnam
makes a lot of the clothes. You can also say the clothes from some of the top designers too. If you wanted to import something, let's say like if you were like these things like Gucci is made in Italy, can't import that either. So you won't be able to import the cheap stuff, buy the cheap stuff or the expensive stuff because it's made overseas and shipped here. If you need,
I don't even know if we have any clothes that are made here.
There is one line of clothing that I do know is made here. That's one I know of. That's about it.
The thing I'm wearing, where was this made? It doesn't say.
Oh, wow.
Probably not here.
No, probably not here. So this will be an unmitigated disaster. It'll be bad. This is going to be bad, folks. So brace yourself. Say a prayer, okay? Now, the Biden-Harris administration is talking with union leaders, all right? So they report. You've got the Transportation Secretary, Commerce Secretary, Secretary of Labor. It's all hands on deck. And the president is trying, well, I don't know if the president's doing this himself, but they are trying to work with the workers and try to work out, or the union leaders, I should say, try to come up with a deal to prevent a strike. However...
Well, yeah, because it would be, it would disrupt the entire economy. Essentially, you would have a crisis on your hands right before an election.
Yeah.
And that would be very bad.
It would be really bad. Really, really, really bad. So the president, he has the power, thanks to the Taft-Hartley Act of 1947, goes back a long ways, to intervene in strikes or potential ones that creates a national emergency. I would say this would qualify. You're talking about the economy coming to a halt. You're talking about people not being able to get medical equipment. You're talking about this affecting every single
facet of our lives.
Of our lives, of our economy, of business. I mean, there's not one area that I can think of where this would not be would affect them. I just can't. I mean, fertilizer, your ag, even if you don't ship your ag overseas, your fertilizer, your seeds, your farming equipment, every facet of our lives is going to be affected by this. So I would think this would be a national emergency. However, the administration says it will not stop the workers from striking, even though they could.
But if they can, and they can stop a crisis from occurring, why don't they?
I have no clue why you wouldn't do that. I mean,
Is it because they want to still act like they're a champion for workers or something? Because I don't think this is the time for that.
I can only think that would be one reason. They want to champion the workers. They want to make sure that the workers have good wages and have their jobs and don't get booted out by robots. But like you said, this is not the time to do that.
I think there's another way we could go about it than shutting down the country.
I hope that they do intervene and they say, I'm sorry, you can't do this. Presidents have intervened before. The very famous one is Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, so he was president at the time, and the air traffic controllers wanted to go on strike. I think they were also arguing over money. And they said, well, if we don't get what we want, we're going to go on strike. And Ronald Reagan said, I'm sorry, you cannot go on strike. You are, number one, you're federal workers, so federal workers are not allowed to strike. And number two, if you strike, you will crash the economy, because not only are things shipped in by boats, they're also flown in and flown across the United States. And also you talking about preventing people from traveling to and doing business as well. I mean, this was before the advent of your home computer. There was no internet. There was no email. If you wanted to have a meeting with somebody, there was no Zoom. You actually had to go, and you have to go in person and meet the person in a boardroom at a physical location. So he knew that this was going to crush the economy. It was going to halt business. It was going to do horrible damage. He said, no, you can't strike. And if you do not report to work, you will be fired. And guess what? They all reported to work. Calvin Coolidge did this when he was governor. He did it with police. The police were going to go on strike, and he says, you can't go on strike. You are vital. You can't go on strike. So he said, get back to work. And they had to go back to work.
And if they want to still champion the workers, there's still, they can intervene, right? The executive branch can intervene. Well, why don't you intervene and also maybe help to come up with some sort of deal so that they're happy, but also we're not shutting down the country.
Yes, I think that what the White House could do, because this is a federal government power, interstate commerce, and this is affecting interstate commerce. It's also
trade.
It's also affecting foreign trade. Another thing that is a federal government job. So yes, they can intervene. They can bring the two parties in a room together and say, all right, let's hash this out. Let's talk this out, and let's try to come up with a deal. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that before tomorrow, before midnight tomorrow. because the strike happens Tuesday. The walkout happens Tuesday, and the picket signs go up. And people can't cross the picket line. It's not easy to do.
Even if they're not able to stop it completely, even if it's only one day where they went on strike, they missed it by a day or so, that's better than it lasting a week.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty with businesses right now. They're gearing up. They're hoping that even if there is a strike, it's not going to be that long. Maybe my products will still get here and be offloaded on time. But there will be, if there is a strike for a day, a week, that is going to cause a backlog. Okay? Because ships will not be able to come in.
Yes,
there'll be a domino effect of a backlog.
I'm just saying the sooner they get it dealt with, the better.
Yes. Well, let us hope. I would suggest that you write to the White House, email, call. I don't think snail mail will work, but emails, calls, whatever you can do. Facebook, the White House is on Facebook, or the Biden administration. You could, write a comment on his X feed and see what happens, because like I said, this will be an unmitigated disaster, and it will affect every single aspect of your life. The only thing I can think of that, okay, I got one, money, currency.
How?
So our currency is the US dollar, and it's made here. It's shipped on trucks. So you'll be able to get money. You just won't be able to use it.
Yeah, so technically it does affect money, though, because you can't buy certain goods. Inflation will go up. So it's not such a good example. Sorry.
It's not a product. No, I can tell you that. But you will be able to go to the bank and get cash.
It'll be worthless.
Be able to buy anything with it. What you can buy is going to go up astronomically. So
it'll be worthless, but you could get it. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, look, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, so people squeak at the president and the vice president, because I am sure that this would be a disaster for her campaign.
Squeak?
Yeah, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Oh, so you're telling them to squeak. Okay,
yeah,
I get it.
Right, phone, do what you can to tell them to get in there, lock these people in a room, and get this done. And frankly, if I were the dock owners, I would be like, whatever you want. At this point.
Well, that's what they're hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not be good in this situation, because I would just say, all right, 6 years, 80% increase in wages over 6 years, done. You don't want robots, done. I just go, okay, fine, no problem. But that's why I don't work on the docks. I do this. So hopefully this will work out, and I will come to you next week, and we will not be in a economic, basically a freeze on all goods and services. Well, not services, but goods. Definitely goods. Alrighty, folks, that's going to be it for us. That's a wrap. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't found this podcast educational. I know it's a little scary news, but it's important to tell you because one person can make a difference. I still firmly believe that. And if a lot of people complain, they will listen. So this is Esther.
And this is Ruth.
For Plano's Political Pitbulls, signing off.